Carl Wilson was elected to the city council in a special election. He has now been there for 2 whole months. So what's the biggest surprise?
Wow, I mean, the biggest surprise has really been being at City Hall and being on the being the member. I was there for a decade as a staffer. So you think you've got it figured out, but when there's a whole nother level to it. There's a whole bunch of dynamics with your colleagues and being at the hearings, and there's another, that's another element to it that I hadn't experienced yet at the council. So that's been surprising, but fun too.
Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it.
So one of the biggest issues now that you're going to have to face is the horse carriage issue, and especially with the death of that tourist, there's a push to have a bill that would ban horse carriages. I wonder how you feel about it. Well,
I'm a co-sponsor of that bill. I actually live right across the street from the horse stables.
On 52nd Street?
Yeah, my partner is an equestrian, was captain of the team at the University of Delaware, so horses are really important to, my family. And, it's really, we often see horses, before this tragedy happened in the park, it's not uncommon to see a horse limping or be lame, look underfed, nose to tailpipe in traffic along 10th. So it's an outdated practice in my view, and it's time for the council to act. And it is really too tragic that it had to take a death of a young teenager in order to see some movement on this. We're going to have, and by the way, there was a horse that dropped dead in Central Park just a week earlier. So
that was poison plant.
Right, but they're not supposed to be eating the vegetation in the park. If they weren't in the park doing this work, they would have never eaten the plant. It's time to move on from what I view as an outdated practice, and we're going to have a hearing on this bill next month.
So do you see this? Do you see just the elimination of the industry, or do you see? I know over the course of years, people have talked about getting these electric-powered carriages, for lack of a better phrase. Do you see that as an option so that you could preserve some of the jobs that these people have, or do you want to see it just eliminated?
Well, I think we've absolutely got to do any type of ban in a responsible way, and in my view, that means having other pathways to employment for the drivers. So that's part of this bill. I think it's an important part of the bill, and I, of course, would want to work to see some transition for the drivers, whether that's the electric carriages or something else, but they're part of this too, and they've got to be taken care of as well.
Do you think the situation would be any different if instead of having the stables on 52nd Street where the horses have to get from wherever they're, like Central Park, to the stables, if the stables were actually located in Central Park and the horses wouldn't have to go through the city?
I mean, maybe it would make it a little better, but you still have the you still have the work that is happening. You can't just move horses, by the way, from like a confined, stable environment into a scenario where there's turnout and they're eating things other than hay. It's not that simple.
In other words, if you built a stable in Central Park.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Conservancy really wants to do that. I don't really think that that's a viable path forward. And I'm not so certain that it would end all of the suffering for the horses.
So another hot button issue the council has to deal with is the buffer bill. And I know that one of your council assignments is the Committee to Combat Hate. So I wonder how you feel about the buffer bill and if you like the new version.
I am a co-sponsor of that bill as well. And I do think that this version is better, and I want to commend Speaker Menon for really listening to the body to tailor something that is more palatable to a broader coalition of council members.
But do you think that it will survive a veto by the mayor, who is clearly interested in preserving freedom of speech?
I think there will be enough votes on this bill that it will have a veto-proof majority.
But do you think that you still have to deal with a veto anyway, and then have to override, or do you think?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what the mayor decides to do. For the other the buffer bill package, or legislation for the houses of worship, they did not veto when that had the veto-proof majority. So we'll see what the mayor does, but I think it will have the votes to do it if
So
needed.
I also wondered how you feel about, there was a suit that was filed on Thursday that would try to stop the mayor in his move to ban e-bike enforcement. And I wonder how you feel about that. There are a lot of people who say that they've been injured by people on e-bikes and that there should be enforcement and not the mayor's plan not to have enforcement. Where do you come down on that?
Well, this is one of those issues that unfortunately I think loses a lot of the nuance around it. It's like you're either for e-bikes or you're against them, and you're for enforcement, you're not enforcement. It ultimately, in my view, comes down to public space management and how we have the infrastructure to support safe riding. I definitely think that there is an enforcement piece with e-bikes. I mean, any person who breaks a law on any vehicle, there should be enforcement around that. But I also think we need to do things like expand e-bike infrastructure and have more connective bike lanes to give riders the option to do the right thing. I cycle all the time, and I take the e-bikes from City Bike. I have to get up and down 10th Avenue and 9th Avenue, getting back and forth.
But I bet you when there's a red light, you stop.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there's also right now, if you stop and you can go through. I think with the so there's a real conversation around safety around that and what is the safest option for the cyclist. I certainly do stop. You're not going to find me weaving between cars. I would like to, you got to be safe. You got to be smart on an e-bike. It's still an urban environment. But if you have a connective bike network and infrastructure to support that safe riding, that's what most cyclists are gonna choose. And I think that's what we should do along with any enforcement.
So I only have about 30 seconds left, but do you think that people who ride their own bicycles should have license plates so that you can tell who's sticking to the law and who's not?
I think that's a conversation and debate that we can have. I see both, I understand the idea. I would like to know a little bit more about how that would work. In other cities that people have tried it. There's arguments about how successful it's been or not. So I think it's an idea that it's worthy of debate in the council. I also wonder, is the city really the best person to issue that? I mean, we don't have that kind of infrastructure. It would be extremely expensive. If that is a route that folks want to go for enforcement, I think the state might be a better entity to handle that, given that they have the DMV infrastructure and all that. So, but a debate worth having, I think, at the council.
Well, Councilman, we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but our conversations continue right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. We are back with Councilmember Carl Wilson. So I wanted to ask you if you had time to introduce your first bill and what are the issues that are so important to you?
Well, I have a couple bills that I'm working on that they're not in the point yet where I can really talk about them, but I do have things that are in the hopper that I'm working on. There are some bills that exist already at the council, some that I'm a co-sponsor on, and all that I'm a co-sponsor on that I want to see get done, particularly the shared housing bill, which creates a legal framework for shared housing to come back, which I think is a really important tool in combating our housing crisis, as well as the artist housing bill that we have at the City Council, which would clarify the rules around developing artist housing, which is historically called My District Home. And we've seen a huge percentage leave over the last decade.
So I know that you're also on the Housing Committee, and I was wondering, the mayor has a big program to build affordable housing. Do you think that, wealthier areas should be forced to have affordable housing as well?
Well, yes, I think every neighborhood should have affordable housing in it. And it's not, but, one neighborhood is not going to solve the housing crisis. We need to have a little bit of housing in all, we need to see housing increase in every neighborhood. And there are some that are better than others that have done more. So I think we should be looking at how we can increase it in neighborhoods and communities that have not contributed at all in some cases to the housing crisis. But to really combat this, we have to increase housing like regionally, but so one district's not going to do it alone, but we can be a leader on this space. And my community districts have been, Community Board 4, especially here on the west side, has created a lot of housing in a dense place. So there's ways you can do it that are smart, that accomplish multiple goals, that preserve character, and help combat the problem with our housing stock.
So the mayor is also racing a budget deadline, which is the end of the month, June 30th. I wonder where you think it's going to end up. And I know that the LGBTQ caucus has some things that they'd like to see in the bill. Maybe you could talk about that.
Well, I'm a proud member of the LGBTQIA plus caucus, representing Manhattan. We have a member from every borough now on the caucus, which is really exciting. There are definitely some priorities that the caucus would like to see, particularly increases to the Trans Equity Fund initiative, as well as LGBTQ immigrant legal services, some arts and culture financing for LGBT organizations, and we'd like to see more funding in the runaway homeless youth area. So definitely pushing on that, but there's other priorities too, particularly around housing. The city expanding the city FEPS voucher is something that a lot of folks in the council, including myself, would like to see.
Yeah, but there's no money for that.
Well, we do spend a lot of money on putting people in shelter. So it's a matter of choice. It's a policy decision about how we want to spend those resources. So I think that that's something we've got to really look at, again, to help combat our housing and homelessness crisis.
So the reason that I raise the issue is because I think my understanding is that the mayor didn't include an increase because it was growing so much and so expensive, and he needed to spend the money on lots of other priorities as well. Do you think it was the wrong decision on his part?
I think it will help combat our homelessness issue if folks have more access to city FEPS in order to get housing, instead of spending resources on shelter, which is very, very expensive too.
I guess the big question is, what are the biggest issues facing your district right now that you want to do something about?
Well, I've talked a lot about housing, but from being out there in the community and talking to my constituents, housing and housing affordability is still a big issue. I also think we need to work to make investments in our transit system to make it more reliable, particularly around bus service. I live on the far west side. I rely on the M11 to get up and down. I think we can do better to make that more reliable, more accessible. We've got to do things like continue investments in schools and childcare and community health centers, and making sure our public spaces are clean and safe and well taken care of.
So indulge me, play tour guide in your district.
Ooh.
If I was coming to your district, what 3 places do you think I should see?
Oh, wow, what a great question. I would take you first to where my heart is, and what brought me to New York is Broadway. I am an avid theater fan. I moved to New York to be an actor, so I grew up in the theater. So that is a huge part of what I love so much about this city and all of the cultural economy that surrounds Broadway. So I'd take you to a show. I'd let you pick. Do you want to go to a play or a musical? I have some recommendations. And then I'd take you down to Stonewall and Sheridan Square, which is the birthplace of the modern LGBT rights movement, a place I am so honored to represent. And as an openly gay man myself, the responsibility of that legacy is something I hold very, very dear. And then, I'd probably walk you over to the west side, and we could go check out the High Line or the Hudson River Park, two amazing.
You have a lot of really great things
I have so many riches. It's a wonderful district to represent, and what I think a lot of people think of when they, I'm going to New York, I think they think of Hell's Kitchen, Chelsea, the West Side, the West Village. So
here's a question for you. What's the one thing your parents bugged you about when you were growing up?
Oh, I don't know. They probably biting my nails. Is that gross? I did when I was a kid. Yes, and my dad would always.
Goodness.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I know. You're really outdoing me there. So, yeah, that's one they would always get on me about.
So, do you have a secret skill or talent that we don't know about?
Well, I usually say that I tap dance.
You tap dance?
Yes.
I love that.
I was a theater performer for a long time, and I danced a lot in ensembles, so
that's great.
I'm okay at it. I love to tap.
So, do you watch TV shows? Do you watch streaming? What's your favorite?
Oh, well, anyone who knows me knows I am a huge RuPaul's Drag Race fan.
Really?
Oh, yeah, big time. And also, I was very excited to watch the first episode of the new season of House of the Dragon on HBO. So that's kind of what
And that's
I'm
what
into.
you binge. What is your binge watching thing?
Oh, binge watching? Well, there's some shows that I love to return to and have on all the time, like 30 Rock. I'm a huge 30 Rock
Really?
fan. I've seen every episode a million times, but if I ever just need to pick me up, I'll just put that one on and let it play.
I get it. So, what's your most memorable birthday?
You know, one that comes to mind is I had a whole bunch of friends and we all went to a piano bar right here.
Really?
It's at Haswell Green, which is over in Midtown, and we didn't have a private space, but we went upstairs and nobody was up there, so it felt like it. And we all, you know, made song requests and sang along. It was a lot of fun, and right in the heart of New York.
Do you sing?
I've been known to sing every now and then. Yes.
Do you have a favorite karaoke song?
Well, I have a few. I have a few, but usually my go-to is the song "Mr. Brightside" by The Killers. That's one everyone tends to know and will sing along with you.
I was going to ask you to sing it, but I'm not going to do that.
Well, you'll have to meet me at the karaoke bar.
So, when was the last time you admitted being wrong?
Well, I am really happy to be, you know, in a relationship with my partner James for 10 years. So, in order to make it that long, you have to admit you're wrong quite a bit. So,
Believe me,
yeah.
I totally get that. What's your least favorite vegetable?
You know, I don't love eggplant. It's a
Really?
texture thing.
I totally get that too.
If it's, you know, I can do like a baba ganoush, but I don't like the.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. It's kind of yucky.
But it's good for you, and everyone should eat their vegetables.
So the last question is this: what do you think people notice about you the most?
Well, notice. I think that people notice that I have a long social battery, that I love to be in a room full of strangers. I love to meet new people. I love to hear about everyone's story. And when you're in a place like
You're in
New
the
York,
perfect profession.
you know, it's a skill that's helpful in this line of work. But, you know, that's what's so amazing about our city in New York, that it truly is the crossroads of the world. I always joke it's the capital of Earth. And to have so many interesting people from all over the world and all, you know, relatively peacefully existing on this island is just an unbelievable thing.
Carl Wilson, the council is really lucky to have you. Thank you for joining us, and thank you at home for joining us as well.